Why this channel? I don't know if I should call this a blog, a vlog, or just kind of a place to put record of what is going on as we live our dream. I'm going to start out with this video to try and show where that dream comes from, kind of what our background is in traveling, as that is our dream, is to travel. And some of the things we've been having to do along the way, because we do own a house, so we've got to do some things such as take care of the lawns, build some fences. It has hedge around it, so we have to trim the hedge. As you can see behind me, I try to take advantage of each time I prune this front hedge to do this recording rather than it looking all wild and crazy. So the channel is just to have a record of what our dream is. I start out showing some of the traveling we've done nearby, how we did it as camping. We have decided to buy an RV. We have been thinking of buying a motorhome and then tow a Jeep as our toad, and went and looked at a motorhome. After seeing what it was like, it was as close to the floor plan we wanted as we could get to look at. We felt that it just wasn't what we wanted. We went to the Airstream dealer and saw a number of trailers there. One that we really liked that we're going to try and swing the financing for in the next few months to be able to buy an Airstream. We went to see about ordering a tow vehicle. As you will see in this video, my poor old Dodge is getting older and older. Actually, the 2018s have come out, so it is now old enough to drink on its own. We have been afraid to take it very far or do much with it, so we've already gone and ordered a tow vehicle. This is July of 2017, and already Ford has stopped taking orders for 2017s on the F-150. So we have placed an order for an F-150, but it'll be a 2018 model, and it'll probably take a couple of months or more till we can get it, as they're probably right now retooling. There are some interesting changes in the grill and some things like that, so I'm sure it's going to take them a little while to get the factories retooled and get things put together. We're using part of the lump sum from my retirement and part of the early retirement incentive that my employer gave as down payment on that. We're going to pay off part of the mortgage. We actually have two mortgages, even though they were refinanced. They were done at the same time. They were done separately, and the one has just blocked us from doing any refinancing. So we're going to get it paid off and then hopefully be able to refinance the main mortgage and lower our payments on it by half, and use that maybe as payment for the RV and the tow vehicle. If we can get big enough down payments on them, I'm sure that's going to happen. So we should be able to live off of my monthly retirement check with no problem. So this record, this channel, I don't even dare call it a blog. This channel is to document where we've come from and where we go on this living our dream.
the beginning of this clip, you could see my truck parked back in the trees. We did choose a site that was back in the trees to camp in on this. This particular time is about a week after the trip to San Francisco that you're going to see in the next video. We really did need some time in the quiet. This is right next to our particular campsite. This is Hayden's Fork of the Bear River. It's flowing basically north out of the Uintas and then turns around and goes back to the Great Salt Lake from the north. Right there is a great gravel bar for throwing rocks, for making them skip across that nice wide spot there. It's just this early in the year, it was underwater. We often go up to this campsite for the summer solstice, for June 20th, 21st, or 22nd. Just kind of as a tradition that our family set. This particular year, the river was still running quite high, but very clear. Looking at this video makes me want to go get a fly rod and try my luck. We will usually camp in the same campsite, in the same campground each year. So we're used to the water being high. This is from a previous year when my daughter was with us. You'll see there's a tent kind of behind the trees there and one to the right. But we've put a big tarp over it. We drove into Evanston, Wyoming and bought a couple of new tarps because it was raining so hard. It was getting into the tents, and by the next morning there's snow on the ground. One of the disadvantages to tent camping is the weather can really affect it. Back to the year with the video. This is a road we went up to try and gather some firewood so we could have a campfire. Now, you've got to remember, I'm the kind of person that would take a rig like this one that's coming into view here to the right over Elephant Hill in Canyonlands National Park, and very little even sheet metal damage. So this particular road was really a nice road for me to drive on. Some people might not like it, but it was fun for me. This is Bald Mountain as seen from Mirror Lake. This is on the Duchesne drainage, but very close to where we were camped. To the left of that peak is Bald Mountain Pass. This is the view down towards Moosehorn Lake. That peak in front of us there is Hayden's Peak. So Hayden's Fork runs from there down towards the north. And this was taken, again, that time we were up there that I took video You can see there's still a fair amount of snow at the end of June on Hayden's Peak. And if I remember my peaks right, this is Mount Agassiz that's showing here. That's the high Uinta Primitive area, or now Wilderness area it's called over there. As you go down the pass, you come to a turnoff and you can come over to see the upper falls of the Provo River. Now I know compared to a lot of falls that we've seen, these are not very impressive, but we've been able to go see these over and over through the course of different years and different seasons. And you're going to see in just a few minutes what happens as the water level changes. As I said, this year this would be coming back from that late June camp. The water level is still pretty high, but it's running fairly clear. Most of the runoff has ended, so we're not getting the muddy water, just a lot of good clear looking water at this point. Now later in the season, this next is from an August trip up there. You can see there's not a whole lot of water left going over that, and by September you could have walked up the falls if you wanted to. Now, we quit camping quite so often because I like to have a good roof over my head, which is why we were thinking of an RV, but we were still going up in the mountains. Here we've cut down a tree, then we bucked it to length, and we left this much of the tree there, which we were able to pick up a couple of days later, and loaded it onto my little old Dodge, and there's a half a cord of firewood that would help keep us warm through that next winter. 2 years ago, our last summer of gathering firewood, we got a little bit bigger load because this tree was already down. So we bucked it to length and then loaded it on the Dakota. You'll notice that the springs are down as far as that Dakota can take with that half a cord. And tying it down with those straps, we had to braid them to keep them from flapping in the wind. We no longer have the wood-burning stove, but we do have an ongoing project of building some fencing. This is in the front yard to try and keep that towable RV you see on the other side of the fence from coming into the yard. Although this was 5 years ago, that house is a rental, no longer any RVs there. But the fence, those 3 panels, we built over spring break 5 years ago. Then we moved over to the west side of the house, and by late in the season last year, we had this much of it built. The way I've been doing it earlier this year, I would stain the bottom and the top so that they could sit against each other, finish staining them, turn them over, and then lean them against the house to let them cure in the sun. It was back to this point, hard to see because of the sunlight, but now, after a few weeks ago, it goes right back to the hedge. This is how we're finishing off the short fence out in front. You can only go 3 feet tall with a solid fence. We've put some space there that you can see through. But as you see, the rest of the summer we're still going to be busy as we wait to buy that truck and RV.